Oh no, what happened? Hold on. I don't know what's going on, but there we go.
I don't know what that is. Another episode of Book Talk. I don't know where I was going with that.
Your internet
Um,
connection is questionable at
my
the
internet
moment.
connection?
I think. I don't know. Maybe it's mine. You were there and then you weren't
It,
there and then now you're there. So it's probably
it might be
mine.
mine because you're coming through perfectly fine. Maybe it's the website. Let's blame the website.
Yeah, let's blame the website.
I look like I'm a waiter. I do realize that. I was like, oh, okay, I do have a like semi-formal button-down shirt. May I have your order? Nothing wrong with that. It's not the vibe I was going for. I'm going for roguish. That was
Um, okay, I don't know if it is CB or if it is me. So I am going to go check the YouTube. Hey girl, hey girl. Quiet YouTube. I'm
I'm
going to
fine.
go check our live to see which one of us because I don't want the wrong one to be like, okay, well, the other one's having internet issues.
Fair. Very fair.
So,
It could be both of us.
well, right now, having internet issues. Right now, I see that you exist. So go ahead and tell the people what book talk is.
Hello everyone. We're doing book talk today, which was on a little bit of a hiatus. But it's back now that I have time to read again and brain capacity to do so. Sam can always do it. It's totally on me every time a book talk is canceled. Um,
No, we had to move it twice because of me.
Twice compared to what we're on episode 1. The other 28 times that we've moved it because of me.
I'm trying to be
But
helpful.
anyways, book talk is where Sam and I alternate picking a book that we've read in the past and we've enjoyed, and we force the other one to read it as well, as we reread it. As we reread it, and the only uh, parameters for this is that we enjoyed reading the book or we enjoyed the book, so that when we have a discussion on episodes like this, there's at least one of us that has love for the book, even if they're not always defending it. Uh, but most of the time, these do end up fairly
It's
positive.
it's supposed to be.
It's
So
supposed to be
that
a
there's
very
at least one
positive thing.
person in the book's corner, but sometimes the hear me out is a little too.
Yeah. One thing about us, we will acknowledge a book's flaws,
100%.
and then sometimes directly turn away. We'll go, yes. And anyways, looking at you, scum villain, up on the shelf. So that is the premise. On this episode, we are doing A Lady's Guide to Scandal by Sophie Irwin, which is the second in the series, but not.
It's just kind of
But
like
not consecutive.
it's like a
Uh,
spirit. I don't want to say spiritual. That's not the word I'm going for. It's like Sophie Irwin's A Lady's Guide series is not necessarily interconnected so much as
it's
it's a
standalone.
thematic series.
Yeah. And Sam potentially is going to be doing the recap of this one if
Yes.
her internet is up to snuff.
Yes, well, according to my little preview that I've got going in the corner now, you were the one that cut out. So, but you've been here the whole time. So,
I did just turn on my computer for the first time since Wednesday.
all right. So, A Lady's Guide to Scandal starts starts out with a our 27-year-old female lead who is now a widow. Her husband, who was like I think 25 years, I want to say, because they don't say actual years, it's
Decade.
just like decade plus and whatever. So if I remember correctly, he was like 25 years her senior. And yeah, he was I'm gonna say mentally abusive,
Yeah.
very much so, because he made her feel just like a complete
Financially.
disappointment. It was essentially, I guess it was kind of neutral at the beginning, but then with every year that went by with no baby, he was just like, well, what was the point of getting a second wife? And like, sir,
You're
but yeah,
just
he made her feel small. So at the beginning of our story, she is very like she is one of those women who has been shrunk. She has become a shadow version of herself, and because of her mom and everybody's always been overbearing except for her grandfather. So she's always been a shadow of who she could be,
and
and
even
now
he was
it's even
overbearing too
smaller.
a bit.
Huh?
And even he was a bit overbearing as well.
Well, no, he was just a tough art critic, which is just kind of par for the course for professionals in their thing. Because the way she talks about her grandfather, he was like when she was little, he was dismissive of her, but then when like basically when they had a shared hobby or professional interest and everything, he was like, yeah, no, you have all right, you've got skill, you've got talent, you can do this, but also don't show me trash. So I wouldn't put that on the same level as most of the others.
No. The bar was low.
It was a very low bar, so low. We also, throughout the funeral and stuff, we basically find out that, like, when they first got married, it was agreed because, it's estates and fancy people and everything. So when they first got married, it was agreed that upon her husband's death, she would get £500 a year, which is a tidy sum. Very nice. She can live on that. Um, but like her family and stuff, they're like hoping for more because they're like, well, she was his wife and everything, and she's like, he cared more about his horse than me. I don't know what y'all on about. We also find out that like the love of her life, the man that she had wanted to marry, is her nephew by marriage. She ended up forced to marry his uncle because his uncle was titled and had all the money and stuff. So that's what her family arranged for her. We're at a time period where it's like technically they can't force her into an arranged marriage, but also like peer pressure is a thing. And
Parental
so
pressure.
parental
Yeah.
there's a stronger word for it. I just like familial duty and everything was
Yeah.
very important. So she did what she did, and she was married to this man for like 10 years, I think, like a decade at least. Well, because he had gotten into a fight with one of his nephew-in-law, because it's his niece's husband. He had gotten into a fight with him. He gave her like most of the big money estates under the family's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave our MC most of everything, and she's like, "Oh, I'm rich now. I'm richer than everyone here. Like I'm richer than all of you motherfuckers put together." And her parents are already planning on how they're gonna spend her fortune and everything. And this is when we first see the little kernel of, if given the chance, she can be a badass bitch, because she's like, excuse all of you, it's my money, like, be spending shit for me. But so as everybody leaves and stuff, also her ex came in, and he's just been like apathetically polite to her, and she's like, my heart is so doubly broken. He's like been in the Navy this whole time, and she's just like, I just can't handle life right now. And her cousin, who is her best friend, she's all like, bitch, we don't gotta go home. And she's like, well, I can't stay here. My fucking exo is over there. And she's like, okay, you just inherited like 8,000 houses. And she's like,
yeah, she became one of the richest women in England.
Yeah, she's like, I did indeed inherit many a good house. And she's like, so why don't we go to one of them? Just like lie and say, oh, a doctor said that you were too overwhelmed. What is she makes up
I don't remember.
a
but
disease,
it was
flyalgia?
It was something completely like she just pulled it out of her ass.
Yeah.
The cousin, which is Margaret.
Yeah, and so they go to Bath, which is a British city that I know exists and is fairly, I don't know if it's important or affluent, but it's super common in British-based historicals.
Yeah.
So I should learn more about this Bath. Apparently it's essentially like the winter, one of those areas that a lot of the rich people live at during the winter seasons before they go to the Ton for the social season.
Yeah.
And so she goes there. She and Margaret are going to live together, which Margaret is a spinster who has no interest in men marrying or having children. Presumably she doesn't hate children because she's really good at taking she's like basically they're like, "Oh, this is the single aunt. Let's just send her. Oh, this person's having kids, send her there. You got a new free nanny."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I can't really complain because I have no money otherwise. This is how I live." But so they go together, and Elizabeth, whom is our MC, she's essentially just like, "Hey, if my dream life right now is just to live retired widow years with you, Margaret." And Margaret's like, "Bitch, let's do it. At least until our cousin has her fucking next child."
Yeah.
On their way to Bath, they run into Lord Melville, whom is a count, and he is half Indian, half English. This is very important in his character and backstory because his father bringing home an Indian wife was like scandalous. Everybody, they were like, "How dare you? That's not what we do here." Yeah. And so he and his sister, Catherine, kind of grew up dealing with that, and it still impacts them to the present day. Well, he is a famous author. He writes Greek retellings. And his which I think is it's very tongue-in-cheek since we know that this was written like within the last decade, that his most popular Greek retelling is Persephone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like that's very tongue-in-cheek for the Romance Greek retelling area. And his sister is well known for her political satire novel, and she's working on a sequel. Well, otherwise they're like considered very scandalous because he's a rake, he's a roguish man, which at various points he's like, "How am I any more of a man-ho than everybody else?
Every other man.
Like, I'm really not that much worse." People just like to exaggerate, and it kind of helps things that he and Caroline, because of how they grew up and everything that they had to deal with, they've very much developed an apathy toward gossip, and just they're like, our reputations are shit anyway, why should we care, basically. Which, you're like, to think of how one gets to that point sometimes, very concerning. But I want to shout out the butler, because she only brings one servant with her from her dead husband's house, which also, the love of her life, his nephew has inherited the title, so now...
the love of the life has inherited the title.
Yeah, so now they're Lord and Lady Somerset, but they're not married. But yeah, so she's... I lost my trail of thought. Give me a second.
The butler comes with her.
Oh yeah, the butler. He's the only one that she brings, and she only brought him because he was basically like, "You're not leaving without me." And she's like, "Okay, but I'm taking nobody else then." And this man serves her so loyally throughout all of it. He's even in his own like little subtle ways and stuff, he's protective of her, he's supportive of her. We love this man who is barely on page.
Yeah.
But
consistent, but yeah.
But yeah, in Bath, they, you know, make acquaintances with both the Melvilles, which from the get-go you can tell that like Catherine and Margaret kind of well, first there's this miscommunication because Catherine and Margaret are trying to be on their best behavior because there's a morality clause in the will that I had forgotten about. So basically, if she acts untoward or scandalously,
The name.
then her ex gets to decide that no, she can't have her fortune anymore. She's only going to be allowed her 500. Which, he's not the worst man in the world, but
For it, yeah.
we're not rooting for him. But yeah, so they're the first time they like all have a little meeting together at there's the Hurleys, the Win somethings, the Melvilles, and then our two ladies. And they enjoyed the Melvilles' company, but they're all like, oh, you know, they go to tell them, oh, hey, we liked your company, and they overhear them calling everybody boring and saying it's just a bunch of widows and spinsters, and they're like, well, fuck them too! And so, like, the next day... Oh, also, she's going to... Our MC, she's gonna be painting again. She bought a bunch of paint supplies and stuff, but only watercolors.
Right after,
yeah, only watercolors because, like, she was like, well, maybe oils, but then the guy was like, oils are a little advanced for a woman, and she's like, you know what, maybe you're right, what am I doing, I'll just stick to watercolor. But then they hear that, and the very next day, she's like, Margaret takes all of that to heart and gets in her feels, but Elizabeth, she's like, fuck that, I am a rich widow. I will do what the fuck I want. And she goes and she's like, not only do I want oil paints, I want every single color. And then let's mix more colors. I need more easels. I need all of these things. And they're just like, oh, okay, ma'am. She's like, they're like, how would you like us to do this? And she's like, yes, deliver it. And then like they go and there's like a theater and a like tavern pub-ish area where everybody kind of gathers for social things, and they get there and she sees Sir Melville and she, for the first time in her life, delivers the cut direct.
Yeah.
Whereas basically they make eye contact and she goes, so it's like a very much her version of the middle finger, and then he goes up to her and he's all like, did you just cut direct me? And she does not know how to handle this situation. She's like, hold on, what the fuck? No, you're supposed to do that to let somebody know you don't want to talk to them? What do you mean this made him come up to me and talk to me?
Yeah.
And yeah, so she does not know how to handle she doesn't know how to handle Melvin most of the time. And he's just very flirty, very friendly and stuff. Always kind of like pushing her a little bit, like, oh, well, you might be a widow, but you still hot. And she's like, sir, stop flirting with me.
I'm guessing this is a me thing. I'll be back.
Oh, I'm back.
I left the stream. Did you leave the stream too? Like, I refreshed my page.
Oh, no.
Oh, I did.
I didn't have to, but we are back, so we're good. Sorry about our technical issues, guys.
Yeah.
Evmex missed us so much it doesn't know how to handle us being back.
Seriously.
But yeah, I'm gonna try to summarize things because this is really like one of those books where the journey is the romance along the way and the courtship and everything. Yeah, but Somerset comes to visit her because she she put off letting him know. Technically, he's the head of the family now, and she's like, oh, I have to let him know that, like, I did this. And she eventually does write the letter, but before her letter gets to him, they're like, land guy let him know. It was like, hey, the girl, like, she went and did this, and so he, like, arrives, he thinks she's dying.
Yeah.
Doesn't help that when people have when the solicitor visited and stuff, Margaret was like, oh yeah, she's like, she's dying, she can't, you know, walk, she keeps fainting and shit, and Elizabeth is like trying to balance this, oh yes, I'm so sick, I can't go home. But also
there, we are fine, I'm not that bad.
Yes, and also I can run my own lands. Thank you. Because she also bought a bunch of educational books because she was like, you know what, I own estates, I'm going to run my estates. I don't need no man to do it for me. And everybody else keeps going, but do you?
Yeah, we don't believe you.
Well, through a series of things, like, Somerset, his sister, like, comes because she's all like, no, you can't fall back in love with her. Then she'll keep all the money.
Yeah.
And all of that. She's like, she's just a gold-digging hoe. She married our uncle for money. She wants to marry you for the title.
Also, my son should have that money. That's
yeah,
the part.
also
like,
that...
my son should have all of her shit.
That money, that stuff was supposed to go to my son, but my husband was stupid and argued with our uncle. That's why she got it all. And so, like, Somerset kind of starts courting her. Also, Melville's like, hey, because our butler is MVP and set up an art studio, basically, with good lighting. And he was like, oh, you're fucking great as a portraiture. Like, you capture people, not just, like, pompous versions of people. And he's like, so I need you to do my author portrait. And she's like, okay. Of course, then when she and Somerset start courting, she's like, I should tell him. I'm going to tell him that I was commissioned to do a painting, but I'm not telling him. Which I do appreciate that she says, but I'm not going to tell you what I was commissioned because I want it to be a surprise. So when he gets mad at her later, she's like, I fucking told you. You didn't care. And he's like, well, I didn't know you were painting that man. And she's like...
Well, it was where she's like, I don't think it should be relevant.
Yeah, she's like... It's like, I don't think what I was painting matters because we were chaperoned. And which Somerset, he gets mad every time she's like, yeah, my cousin was there. And he's like... Which...
Your cousin doesn't fucking count.
Yeah, he's basically like, your cousin doesn't count. She would kill the people and bury the bodies for you. Like, which, fair, but also don't be rude. We love the cousin. Which the cousin and Catherine actually have a romance, which the cousin, like, kind of figures out. She's like, you know, I'm in love with Catherine. Like, I think it's the same night that because once the portrait is finished, Elizabeth realizes that she's in love with Melville. And she's like, when I look at the portrait, I see, like, the love that I used to make this. And she freaks out. And she's like, I'm in love with Melville and Somerset. And she's like, yeah, I'm in love with...
Engaged with Somerset.
Oh, yeah. Well, she says I love them both. And she does. Yeah. She just loves them differently. And then she's like... I, too, am in love. And she's like, oh, please don't tell me you're in love with Melville. And she's like, well, not Lord Melville.
Wrong
because
Melville.
That's his last name. She's like, but Lady Melville. To which her cousin is like, romantically? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, okay. Which I absolutely love Elizabeth because she's just like, so what do you love about her? Was it the dress?
Yeah.
Because she's like, was it that purple dress? Because she did look really pretty in that purple dress. And she's like, do you think I'm that shallow? To which her cousin is basically like, bitch, I'm straight. Explain it to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is probably one of my favorite coming outs in fiction in general. But yeah, she's basically, like, she's kind of, throughout everything, she gets to a point where she's kind of, like, realizes, I'm not in love with Somerset anymore. I just love Somerset, and he was always my first love, so he'll always be special to me. But I don't want to marry him. But I also don't want to jilt him twice. And I'm like, girl, I understand. That kind of sucks. Like, I get that guilt, but also just go with Melville. He makes you happier. He respects your opinions and choices and stuff. Oh, yeah, because at some point, Somerset was like, hey, I was talking to the land guy about, like, building this trench, and we're just gonna build it through your land, too, since it's gonna be our land soon anyway. And she's like, excuse you? Make none of those decisions for yourself ever again for my lands.
That was so weird. I hate him. Anyway.
Which, it's really kind of like, his family feels very entitled to everything that she had inherited, but the uncle had that from his mother's side. So technically, by the laws, rules of their society, like, that was 100% the uncle's to give, so it's 100% hers. So it actually has nothing to do with the other side of the family.
Yeah.
So, like, that's there. But yeah, like, that's also when Somerset, like, re-proposed to her the first time, when he's like, well, we can't be engaged yet because you're still in mourning. He told her, he was like, oh, my sister will basically get over it once we give my nephew this one estate. And she's like, who said we were giving him anything? And he's like, well, why not? It'll be our stuff. And she's like, but it's mine.
Yeah, she's like,
she's like, I see your logic, but for some reason, I'm just like, mine. And I'm like, I get where you're coming from, girl.
Yeah.
But, when Somerset comes back, shit hits the fan, right? First of all, let us paint the picture of, it is a rainy day. She's been learning to drive a carriage. Well, learning to drive horses. She and Somerset went out together because Caroline and Margaret aren't even pretending to chaperone them anymore. They're off doing their own thing. And they come, it's raining, it's drenched. There's some tense moment. They're about to kiss, and she's like, no, this cannot be. She's already told Melville, she's like, I'm engaged to be engaged. Okay, we can't be doing this. And so she goes home, and there is Somerset, which she's all like ready to throw herself into his arms, just drenched in the rain and stuff, and he's not letting her. And I'm like, motherfucker, that's where my engagement would have ended. I'm like, I don't care how sopping wet I am, you better hug me when we haven't seen each other in months. If you like, asterisk exceptions may apply if they have an aversion to being wet or things like that, but if you have no aversions to it in general, it's like, no,
oh, you might get sick. And it's like,
yeah, because that's what he uses. It's not even like, oh, I don't want to be drenched, you might get sick. It's like, I'm already drenched, just give me a hug.
Yeah.
Kiss my cheek, hello, come on now. But, and then they basically have an argument that is almost the same as when they were kids, because he's like, well, we can't get married until you're done mourning, which is a year and a day. And she's like, well, I don't really care about that anymore. I gave up 10 years of my life to duty and to doing what was expected of me and all of this and that. And he's like, well, I still have to think of my family and their reputation. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I know that you're right, and I understand where you're coming from, but I can't live that way again. I can't do it. And he's, like, angry with her, and then he's all like, well, I know you've been running around like a hoe. And she's like, excuse you? And he's like, yeah, people have been talking. And she's like, oh, and you just believe these people talking instead of talking to me about it. And he's like, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's that people are talking. And she's essentially like, sir, I cared about this 10 years ago when you didn't care about it. I don't care about it now. And then, of course, Melville comes in, because he's all, like, ready to confess a bunch of shit. And he's like, oh, I see. He like, basically, she's like, tell him that I'll talk to him later. But because Somerset's yelling, he comes in, winning my heart even further. Yeah. Because he's just looking at her. He's just only talking to her. And he's like, I heard raised voices. Are you good? Mm-hmm. And Somerset's like, you can leave now. And he's like, so anyway, are you okay? Because, like, you don't seem okay. And Somerset's like, I told you to leave. And he's like, I will leave when she tells me to leave and not before.
Of the house.
Yeah, and Somerset's all like, oh, so you think you're protecting her. And she's all like, I don't want to deal with either of you right now.
Which is fair.
And then Somerset's all like, let me tell you what happened. My sister hired him to fuck over your morality clause. And she's like, excuse, is that true? And he's like, okay, listen, technically, but also no. Can I just
Mhm.
explain? And she's like, I have very specific questions about the timeline of events here. And so we find out that, like, at first, his interest in everything was just him. But then, yes, there was a dinner where he and this sister in law were there together. And she's basically like, hey, we'll be your sponsor to publish your book if, basically, if you just keep flirting and just ruin my sister-in-law's, well, she doesn't say ruin her because she's a little more insidious than that. She's basically just like, I don't want my brother to marry her, so please just flirt with her, like make him jealous, make him lose interest and stuff. And Melville's like,
Okay.
bet, because I hate your brother and I'm into her. So
Yeah, he's like, I
like,
was gonna do that anyways, and this way
yeah, he's like,
I'm
I'll
gonna
get
get.
paid. Let me get paid to be me. Yes.
Yeah.
But then during one of their portrait sittings, he found out about the morality clause, and to his credit, he did try to like at that point he tried to distance himself from her because he realized, he's like, I had been used, he's like, I had been played, and he's like, and
Mhm.
I didn't want to be a tool, I didn't want to be a weapon to be used against you. But then, like, you kept coming on to me, and I didn't know what to do because, girl, I want you. And she's like, I hate both of you. Leave my house.
Which is fair.
Yeah. To which the men are both like, please just listen to me. And the butler's like, I believe she said, get out.
Favorite character.
Don't make me muscle y'all out. And Somerset, of course, leaves because he's just been kicked out. Melville's all like, a puppy kicked in the rain, and the butler's like, I don't care how pathetic you look right now, get out. And so he leaves. She goes through a depresso espresso period, and then her and her cousin are basically like, let's get out of here. Oh, because Catherine comes in, and now our girl does not mean to eavesdrop. She does not want to hear this very private conversation, but she like sees a maid coming, and she's like, "Oh no, I I will sit here and make sure nobody comes so that they can have this intimate conversation and no one else finds out about them."
I will be the witness so no one else can be.
Exactly. And Catherine's basically like, "Hey, I'm gonna get published, and I can't really deal with the social backlash in London like it happened last time, so I'm gonna go off to Paris." And Margaret's like, "But is it worth it?" And she's like, "Yes, because this is what I want to do." And she's like, "Okay, well, I'm just now finding out that I'm a lesbian, so I haven't had time to process all of this. So if you could just give me like a little bit of time." And Catherine's like, "No, because I've been a lesbian for like years, and I just
But
can't."
she's also like, I can't for myself.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
choosing myself because her whole thing's like, I want someone to choose me first, and this is her
Hmm.
going, I choose me.
Yeah, it's. I just want to point. It's understandable from both sides.
Yeah.
Like it's a rough area. It's one of those things where it's like meant to be, but not yet to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because Catherine's the oldest, but because she's a girl, she's used to being put second. She's and like she and before we find out that she is indeed into women, she has a conversation with Eliza when she's all like, no, I don't want to ever get married because I don't want to be third. And she's like, first, I'm his sister, which I'm older than him. And she's like, and also, I wrote before he did. He just got published before me. So she's like, no, I really, like, basically, she doesn't want to be put down the line. So, and Eliza's part of her reasoning is that she would have to give up her family. She would have to give up her place in society. It's an unknown that she's really scared of, and she hasn't yet, mustered the courage or decided if that is the
Also, she's
sacrifices
like,
she's
my
willing to
family will
make.
never forgive me if I run
Yeah.
off. Like, I don't have a backup.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
yeah.
and so Catherine's just like, I have to pick me. And Eliza's like, I get that, but I also have to pick me at the moment. And so they're heartbroken up, and then Margaret's like, we can't stay in this house anymore. And Eliza's like, no, we cannot. So two heartbroken, sad girls go to London with Mrs. Hurley, and they live out their wild days, as one do in London society, drinking, partying, flirting, And, oh, also, part of the reason that Eliza feels emboldened to do this is she basically tells Somerset, if you try to take my inheritance away, you try to take away my money, I'll tell everybody what your sister did.
Yeah.
Which would, like, ruin them socially. But, her mama comes a-calling, and she's like, you've been, oh, they go to a masquerade in a commoner's area of town, and Catherine and Margaret get to basically be themselves and be romantic together in public because there's other people here doing that. And Melville, he's all like, I just want you to hear me out. And she's like, oh, fine, so that you leave me the fuck alone, I'll hear you out. Because she's been on this whole thing of, I don't owe anybody anything. Like, I was done dirty. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's fair. She does not owe him to hear him out or anything because it doesn't matter. He did what he did. And yeah, he's like, he came there that night to tell her, but there were many opportunities he could have told her before then. Like, he could have told her after he found out about the morality clause, which would have been the best time to tell her. Because he could have been like, hey, look, I didn't know about the morality clause. I just knew that I was getting paid to be your flirty boy, and so I was okay with that. Because I hate the other dude. But yeah, so she hears him out, but he, like, kind of gets wrapped up in his whole, well, do you forgive me and stuff. And she's like, no, I don't forgive you. Leave me alone. So she goes
He gets
back.
wrapped up in the whole, like, love should prevail kind
Yeah,
of
and she's like, no.
No, I'm being realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets butthurt about it.
And she goes back to where she's staying. Her mom is there. Her mom is basically like, hey, your ex / the guy in charge of your money wrote to me saying you've been living the wild hoe life, so he's cutting you off, and therefore you're coming back home, and we're going to try to fix everything. And she's basically like, no, Mom. And I really love the scene between her and her mom, which I hope to get into a little more later. But basically, the simplest way to break it down is her mom saying, this is how it has been for women, and I've only ever wanted the best for you. And her daughter going, yeah, no, I 100% believe that, Mom, but I want something different, and I'm okay doing it the hard way.
When she was like, I wish we had had this conversation, not like this. Like, in her head, she's thinking that. I'm like,
I know, I get you. Oh. So then her mom basically leaves because she's like,
mother-daughter stuff always hits me so hard. And I had so many feelings, and I was like puttering around the house as I was listening, and that one I just kind of like stood there and was like, or like that whole scene, I was like, I don't know what I want to happen here, but it's making me feel things.
I know, it's like there's no way this ends well, but I want it to so bad. Well, then because part of the thing is, oh yeah, her portrait for Melville. So when they were at Bath, there was this other guy who's like he's also an artist, and she's like, well, he doesn't suck, but this is the shit he's gonna, enter into the very prestigious art gallery. I too will enter the very prestigious art gallery. Let me check with Melville first. And Melville's like, yes, fucking do it. You're amazing.
Yeah.
You'll get in. And he's like, the other guy might not, but you will. And her portrait did get in. So she's like, she put it in anonymously, and she went to go see it, and it didn't just get accepted, it got put in like one of the best places.
Yeah. And
she's so happy and stuff, and she's just living it up with everybody else's reactions and everything. Then she gets back to where she's staying, finds out Margaret.
No. Then the other artist guy walks up, and he's talking his talk, but then he's like, oh, I was just talking to the Lord, like her.
Yeah, Lord Somerset. He's
Lord
here.
Somerset.
He's in London.
Blah 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 blah. And she's like, that bitch is in London, and
that motherfucker's in London and didn't have the balls to talk to me directly, which fair. Mm-hmm. So she goes to his house, and she's all like, I need to talk to him. Which the poor servants, they're like, he's hosting guests, and she's like, yeah, I don't care. And they're like, ma'am, this is a really important breakfast. And she's like, tell him to come talk to me now, or I will go into this very important breakfast. And they have a fight discussion where she's just like, I can't believe you're taking my money just because I turned down your marriage proposal. And he's like, first of all, that's hurtful. And I'm like, he's like, you really think I would do that? And I was like, without
Yeah.
blinking an eye, I think you would do that. And he's like, but no. He's like, this is not my fault. There's a morality clause, and you've been out partying and wilding, and no one would believe you're blackmail anyway
Yeah.
because you've been out partying and wilding. And she's like, you son of a bitch. And then he's like, look, you've had real world consequences for my family. And she's like, oh no. At this point, because she is still like, at her heart, she does care, right?
Yeah.
And she's not 100, like, she's not super altruistic anymore, but she's also not like uncaring. Like, I don't want to say she's not entirely selfish, because I don't necessarily think selfish is a bad thing inherently. But she is basically like, oh no, what did I do that fucked with your family? Because that was never my intention or anything, right? And he's like, well, I'm trying to get married. To which she's like, oh, you moved on real fast. And he's like, anyway, I'm trying to get married and you don't have a place to talk because you moved on while we were still dating. And she's like, okay. you might have me there.
But also,
then,
like...
But she's like, so who'd you move on with?
Someone has an appropriate age relationship.
I know! Because, you guys... Okay, one thing that I left out was while they were in Bath, so there's the Hurleys and then the other family. We don't particularly care for the other family. They're like a prime example of
Wimple or something like that.
The Wimples, the Wintles, I don't know.
I don't know.
We're calling them the Wimbletons for the moment. So the Wimbletons, their daughter is 17 and she is entering society and stuff. And
that's who I was when I started streaming. And I'm still not as old as he is. I just need you guys to...
Yeah, because he's like 27. He's around our MC's age. I think he's probably like 28 or 29.
I am actually exactly halfway to his age from the age I was when I started streaming, which is her age.
So, which let me tell you, I will get to that when I get to that. But basically, so she was 17. And her mother was basically like, hey, you better write some letters of recommendation or letters of introduction for London society for my daughter, or I'll tell your man that you've been hoeing around. And she's like, excuse me? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, look, I hate you, but I like your kid. So... Because she does. She and Margaret have like she is reminded of her own mother just about every time she talks to this woman, and so
and herself in
she very much sees a lot of herself in
the kid, the child,
the 17-year-old. And she's all like, oh, okay, write a letter of introduction to like this house, to which she's like, okay, yeah, fair, I mean, you aiming high, but
I think she was like, it was write a letter of introduction for us, and she's thinking about it, and she's like, I don't like the mom, but I do want good for the kids. So
yeah, and the first one is okay, because
she's like, that's pretty high, but
sure, I'll do it for your daughter, because I like her. And then she's like, and then this one lord, and she's like, excuse me, ma'am, he's like 70. And she's like, and she's like, ma'am, look, and which she tries to like be real with her. She's like, as somebody who was bartered off, and she's like all offended. What, you think that I would sell my daughter? And it's one of those moments where it's like, let's be for real, woman. But she gets offended, and so but the girl has befriended Somerset's niece, who is about the same age, his sister's daughter. Because so they started hanging out a lot. So through that, Somerset and the 17-year-old got to know each other. And he was basically like, I would like to marry her. And the mom's basically like, she's gonna accept regardless because she's a fucking social climber and they're a really good family.
Yeah.
But she's she uses this to get back at our female main character, be like, I can't let my daughter marry you unless you disinherit that woman for hoeing about. And she's all like, wait. Okay, look. I know that we had a messy breakup twice, but let me tell you about your mother in law. And he's all like, okay, let me hear it. And then he's like, no. And she's like, yes. He's like, the 70-year-old? The 70-year-old. No, she wouldn't. Oh, okay, yes, she
And
would.
she's like, come on. Come on.
I like I said, this man is not, he's not the greatest. Like, I was not rooting for him at all, but I do,
Like,
I appreciate their friendship.
in the most straight up way, he is what the vast majority of people
Yeah, he's
mean when they say he's a man. Like, he's not
even,
particularly, or he's not maliciously evil.
no, he's just,
He's good and honorable. He's also fucking annoying as
he's a
shit.
genteel. He's a
Like,
genteel gentleman.
And I've
And
met people like him. There's so many
also, like,
well, men, but
she's
people
even
don't
like,
him.
she's
You're
like, you're,
and then you're like, I actually don't think they are.
he also like called, like, at one point he called her out for dancing with Melville when she was still wearing her morning dress, and she's all like, how did you know about that? And he's like, oh, you don't deny it. And she's like,
No.
I've done things, okay, but I was never a hoe. But yeah, so basically the teenager had come to check on him to see what was going on, and then she's like, oh, I'll, like, please hurry up a little bit. I think my mom's about to start critiquing my posture. And that's when, like, our MC is like, wait a second. And so she talks to him and she's like, yeah, no, she's going to let her daughter marry you no matter what. She's just using the morality clause to get back at me. And he's like,
Right.
okay, you're probably right. I'll see what I can do. Because you know what?
That is not there yet.
No.
She's
Which also,
not there yet.
I love our female MC, because our female MC's, like, first reaction was, but she's so young. To which he does seem moderately, like, mildly ashamed of himself.
But then he's like, she's
But
mature
she's so
for her age.
mature for her age. And she's like, to which in her head, she shades him, because she's like, on and off, she's compared him to his uncle. But then she's all like, I guess a taste for younger women runs in the family.
Yeah, younger, timid women or something like that. There was
Younger timid women.
Yeah, and I was like,
She's probably like, I'm glad I dodged that bullet, which is also probably why he doesn't like me anymore as a grown-ass woman who has my own mind.
which is beautiful. But he also
Yes.
didn't like her when she was timid. Or
Yeah, well,
he shit on her for
no,
being
he
timid.
liked her when
liked
she was
her.
timid. He just didn't like that she didn't pick him.
Yeah, or that timidity didn't lead to him possessing her. Sorry, I have so many issues with this man.
We'll go there. I'm trying to get through so we can do the conversating part. So then she's all like, you know, whatever, Melville, or no, because he says, all right, I'll do the morality clause. The only thing I can't forgive is you being with Melville. So as long as you can promise to never talk to him again or be associated with him, you can keep your fortune. And at this point, she's still angry at Melville. She's still, like, gonna be single forever. But she's like, no, I'm not going to let anybody dictate who I do or don't love anymore. I'm not. Nobody's going to control me with money. No one's going to control me with familial duty. No, I'm going to maybe I'll live slightly poor with just my 500 pounds, which is still a lot. But she's like, I'll get
living comfortably.
Yes,
Perfectly
living
comfortably.
She's like, I'll just do that. I'll be fine. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll even become an artist and sell my artwork.
Yeah, men do
She's
it.
like,
I love that line.
I know. She's like, I'll go do it. And then so she leaves, but then come to find out Margaret didn't come home last night. Which she's all like, oh my god, Margaret better have just gone and slept with Catherine and not been kidnapped. Like, that's her concern. So she's all like, all right, let me go find where Catherine's staying, which she does because she's smart. So she uses the address on an envelope, the return address on an envelope, and she finds them. To which she is met with another butler who's like, "Ma'am, you can't go in there," and she's like, "Get the fuck out of my way!" And then she sees Catherine and Margaret like barely dressed, and she's all like, "Oh, I would be embarrassed, but your ass had me worried." And she basically just gets on to her. She's like, "You could have left a note. You could have sent a message. You didn't have to scare me like that."
She fucking sits down with them. She's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, you're here. All right, girl."
Oh my god, woman. And then
Then
she's all like, "You know what? This..."
the night before.
She's like, "This is an intimate moment. Let me just leave." And they're like, "No, join us for breakfast." And she's like, "No, I really don't want a third wheel right now." And they're like, "No, eat." And she's like, "Okay."
She goes, "I do, but I don't want him to be here." And then the sister is like, "He's out right now."
Yeah, he just went to see you. And she's like, "Oh, well, let me leave before he gets back." And she tries, but she doesn't. And then he gets her to let him state his case one final time.
After being yelled at by the
Yeah, which I love because the way he like approaches it is so well done. And then she's all like, "Who told you to do it like this?" And he's like, "My sister and your cousin. Oh my god, they handed me my ass yesterday."
Yeah.
And so they have an actual good conversation, and she's like, "Hey, I'm poor now." And he's like, "Oh, thank God! Now nobody can think I'm after your money," basically. And so, yeah, they decide that they're gonna live the life of poor nobility, which is still better than most people. But, they're gonna do it. Margaret's gonna go off and live with Catherine. She and he are, they're like, everybody's moving their stuff to the house in London because we only have one house now. But then our little 17-year-old comes in and she's like, "Hey, so you're not gonna lose your fortune." And she's like, "Why?" And she's like, "'Cause I told him not to. Like, just to let you keep your fortune. 'Cause I felt bad." And she's like, What did you do?" And she's like, "I really liked him, and I needed him to fall out of love with you. So I'm the one who told him about you dancing." And she's like, "Oh my god. This little..."
Also, like, I do appreciate you stopping my mother. And, like, the way you've treated me, like, multiple times throughout the book. So, yeah.
Yes, also, she's basically, yeah, she did the fortune thing in part because she felt bad, and also because she's like, essentially, "I want to be friends with you because you and Margaret were cool and you like tried to take care of and protect me." And honestly, I think if Eliza had the support of some older women the way that they gave it to Miss Wimple, the teenager, then it's just Miss, the last name.
Yeah.
Because Lord and Lady and then Miss. But, no, Lady is her mother. She is Miss.
Yeah.
Soon to be Lady Somersault.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, which also this devious little thing. She's like, and I, like, looked at the morality clause, and basically, like, once you remarry, you're not part of this family anymore, so they can't hold the morality clause against you. And she's like,
bad stuff to the Somerset name.
Yeah, and she's basically just like, "You're gonna go far in this world. He don't know what he married."
Yeah.
So
I would read a book 10 years down the line since the accident happened to that asshole and her finding love. She can have kids too, like, I don't care. She could have had like a perfectly fine marriage.
You just want to read about her being happy without him. You don't care how she gets to that point.
Yeah.
I'd be down with that.
And her like calling in having all of these older women, but also having her own plot. I like that in each book of the Ladies' Guide, there's some older woman who comes in and is like very there's like the super foundational one in Fortune Hunting, and then there's in this one just like is a rock.
Yeah.
Like maybe is not a boulder, like is not totally like you ground me, but it's just a little something that ties our heroine against the winds or whatever metaphors are.
I absolutely, because with this one in A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting, it's about so much more than just the romance, even though it is a romance book and the courtship is so juicy in both. But
Yeah.
they do such a good job filling up the rest of the plot and the rest of the world with familial dynamics and like friendship dynamics and everything that you're like, yeah, I want so many more books on all these people.
Yes.
Just make the rice, cut up this. Go. Don't argue with me.
How many cups?
3.
Wait, how many do I get?
But yes, I enjoyed that very much, as I said.
The thing with her mom, while I am sad that like they don't come to a positive resolution, I also like see why it goes the way it does, because it's really hard, and it speaks to a lot of like cycle breaking trauma, because her mom is basically like, I've always tried to do what was best for you, and I always tried to like basically give you the best that women can have,
Yeah.
right? And like, and that's one thing that she says, because she's like, I have a very complicated relationship with my mom, because on the one hand, yes, my mom does try to control me, and like I shrink around my mom, but there's other times when like I lean on that, when I depend on that. When like I was having trouble conceiving and I would write to my mom, she would always have a suggestion, always have a solution, and it was just so nice to like let her have that responsibility for me. And then and to be like, she's like, but I don't want to just settle for what women can have. I want to help be one of the glass ceiling breakers.
Yeah.
I want to push things forward for women. And it doesn't, and she tells her mom, she's like, I'm not ungrateful for everything that you've done for me and for the family. And she's like, but I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Which is, but awesome. When that scene started with the mom, there was part of me, I'm like, it is because we had some hinting of the mom being supportive beforehand. I was like, there is a chance that the mom does like take her side with this, but I'm glad it happened the way it did. I was like that. There was still some sort. It wasn't just like, oh, the mom's evil. Anyways.
No, it's I
Um,
think the reason the mom can't take her side is because she's still very much the matriarch of her family, and what her daughter is doing, it's like, no, it's going to affect the rest of the family, and I have to protect the rest of the family. You're 27, you're you're old enough, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Like her brother still needs to go to school, like
Yeah.
he's little, so she's, and she's got like sisters and cousins and stuff who have families, so her mom's basically like, I have to do what I have to do, and she's like, yeah, no, I get that, like basically it sucks, but I understand. And so and it gives her consequences, and because those consequences are so big at the end, when it's like, oh yeah, she didn't lose her money, who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, it's also when she goes up to Melville and she's like, hey, so we're not broke. And he's like, oh, thank God again. He's like, I was so ready to be poor with you, but I did not want to be poor. I haven't
Yeah.
gotten used to
Why
being a
would
rich
you?
man yet.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
they're flirting in the final scenes of the book. Oh my gosh, I love that.
I enjoyed that it was like, oh, we fully accepted. We went all the way to like, okay, this is the life they're going to live. This is the preparation they're doing for it. They're being very realistic, but still hopeful. But it's still like, no, they're not going to have that hardship. Like at the end, no.
Yeah, I like that.
And
I like my
thought,
happily ever
that-
afters to be
this is not
slightly
the-
unrealistic. We're
I would have
good.
been perfectly content with it, but I'm like, I don't need that for this to be enjoyable or for the stakes to be worth it.
Yeah, especially since, like we said, she already. Hold on, my earbud fell out. She already lost so much with her mom. Like it's basically just her and Margaret now, and
then
Margaret's going to Paris.
Jesus, her lady love. But now they have money, they can visit.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
other thing. I'm like, they don't have to worry about sponsors anymore.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with this.
I will say, which we talked about this a little bit with her first book too, A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting. I like how she stays with the sensibilities of the era, as that is one of the appeals of Regency novels, but also doesn't just hand wave certain
Mhm.
things as being okay because it's of the era. It's just like, yeah, this is normal, but that doesn't, like the age gap between the
Mhm.
ex and the 17-year-old. She, because like our main character, she's like, she's so young. And
Yeah.
she basically, she never once in her mind is she like, it's okay, so much as she's just like, it's going to happen, and at least he'll be nice to her.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like, bare minimum bars under
Yeah.
the rug.
And then like the racism that the siblings face, like so like isn't glossed over.
Yeah.
Um
It's not
like,
glossed over, but it also doesn't feel like that is their personality, right?
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, but like it is a reason a lot, like the reason
Yeah.
why, I think his name's Max, but
It
why
is.
he meets so much, why rumors since he was just literally a schoolboy that he was
Mm-hmm.
such a flirt, or like, yeah, such a rake,
The
is,
the sexualization of a
yeah,
boy of color.
literally. And then like, uh, the lesbians, them being like, hey, we're still gonna have to be in secret, even
Yeah.
like if our close personal friends that
There
we
will
love,
still be rumors.
like but we can't really do this here as easily as we can do it elsewhere, but even elsewhere it's not perfect. And
Yeah.
them also being like, it's easier for a woman to do this than a man, like for two
Yeah.
women.
They like there is a singular line in the novel, I think, where it says it's not dangerous like it is for men.
Yes. Which I'm like, I'm glad we also acknowledge that. Like, there's very much,
There's acknowledgement, and it's like, yeah, this is still a thing without like dwelling on it and
yeah,
stuff.
without turning the genre of the novel into something else.
Yeah, which
Uh,
I just really appreciate
and
how she handles all of that.
yeah, I think it's well done. That it's not hand wavy, but it's not sticking to it. I love this book. Um, I thought the flirting was so well done. I hate love triangles, and this didn't make me hate the novel, because that bitch was never gonna get with her. Um, the whole
I
time,
feel
he's not the male lead.
I feel like the reason this love triangle works as well as it does is because it's very much like when it starts out, it wants you to be like, oh, this is maybe a second chance romance, right? This is the like love of her dreams and stuff. And they, like I said, he's not the worst man ever. He's not just completely vilified. He just is a man of the era and a lot of what that comes with. He's even slightly more like laid back.
Open-minded.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like more progressive than many of his peers.
but
He's
he's
just
not.
not he's not at the level that we want for our MC,
Yeah.
and when you put him up next to Melville, there is no
Oh yeah. He
competition.
also makes so many fucking little comments the whole time, and I'm like, ugh.
The red
Um,
flags.
and then so I
And
was
I like
fine with that because Melville, even the like betrayal reveal plot, I usually hate those where it's like he actually was doing something evil the whole time, but she's going to forgive him by the end. It didn't do that. It was like, no, he was doing, the motivation of their relationship wasn't built on a lie. He was actually interested in her before this happened. It was just a blip. And I'm okay with, and I, for what this book is providing, for what obviously I'm reading this book for this channel, but for what I would be reading the book for, picking it up, would be, I don't want, like me as a reader, I don't want a whole thing for the conflict, but this was enough conflict where it's like, yeah, he made a mistake, um,
our
and
girl got a girls gone wild arc because of it.
yeah, and that mistake actually in the end benefited their relationship and the plot and stuff like that. And so I'm like, okay, this didn't feel manufactured or something that's like, oh, you need a darkest hour in your books, so you're gonna make one of them an awful person.
Yeah, it
Or
also
do
it didn't
something
feel
unfair.
contrived either.
Or like, yeah, or contrived, or like, um,
It
I use the word unforgivable, but I'm like, so much so it's like you're the darkest hour, one of them makes a mistake, and you're like, they don't have, like, the whoever the other person in the relationship is, and I don't want them having to put in the effort to forgive the other person. Like, it is forgivable, but they shouldn't have to do that. Like, they deserve that. And
and
that's not
that's
what it's all here.
sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. And that's one of the things, though, that like we touched on a little bit when we were summarizing it, is she makes it a point to be like, I don't owe you forgiveness. I don't owe you hearing you out and stuff. But she does in the end because, you know, of how everything goes and stuff. And because he keeps trying and he keeps putting in the effort. But he's not trying to a point of where he wears her down. He changes his approach. He learns from his mistake. And so instead of having just a fight where they get mad at each other, they have an actual discussion and everything. And, you know, they talk about it. They come to a mature resolution. But it was also handled in a way where it's like, no, you see, like, it did damage. She was hurt. She needed time. And she got that time and she got that space. And that was nice. And this whole thing is like, it's a woman, like the core essence of the book is a woman in her late 20s figuring out who she is, where she stands, and where she wants to stand. And finding love along the way.
I do think that A Lady's Guide to Scandal, that this wasn't how to do a scandal. I was like, wait, I thought
this is how to avoid a scandal.
Yeah, I thought she was going to be like manufacturing someone else's scandal or something like that, and I was like,
it's okay when we have it when we're going for a pre-established naming convention. Sometimes we forgive it. I will say, I think A Lady's Guide to Scandal, she was involved in some scandals recklessly, and therefore I feel like it fits better than another series whose naming convention we absolutely hated.
And A Lady's Guide to is just fun.
Yeah, it is. Apparently there's another Lady's Guide to series from a different author.
I kept getting confused, trying to find stuff at the library. But yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was, I liked her growth, and I feel like I like that the most important relationship in the novel was her and Margaret.
Yes.
Like, yes, it's a romance novel. I'm not arguing with that. But the most important thing was her, like, she was healing before he ever showed up.
She was. And Margaret helped her heal a lot more. If anything, he really just he would irk her to the point where she had character arc out of defiance.
Oh yeah, and I enjoy that.
I love that.
Because I know there is such a market and like a desire for like banter and that kind of stuff with, or like butting heads in between romance pairs. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, I don't.
It all depends. It depends on how the banter goes.
Them butting heads is not really butting heads, but it's like the way that he brings out a different side of her in a very good way. A side that's very healthy for her.
And they're so goofy together, like especially at the end when they're like looking at his portrait and she says something and he goes, he says something about his wife. And I love the audiobook narrator for it because she's just like, your wife.
Yeah, I kept being like, should I switch to the like ebook to read it faster? But I was like, no, the audiobook narrator's doing a phenomenal job. I'm just gonna.
Sometimes the narrators are just too good that you're like, nope, this is where we are now.
Yeah, this is how I want to consume this media. To the point where it's like, this is such a good audiobook narrator. I count on go see what else they narrate.
If you go, well, you listen to it on Libro, but I was going to say on Libby, you can actually look up books. But I've looked up other books that Will Patton has narrated because I loved his Raven voice so much.
Yeah.
So who is your favorite character?
The old man butler. No, well, kind of. I think it is Eliza. Like, I liked a lot, even from the carriage crash, because we're introduced to her looking at Margaret, like when they're drinking, and being like, oh, I wish she would have gone out and done something with this. Like, she's so much braver than I am. And then the carriage crash, and in this semi-emergency situation, she's the one that keeps her head.
Oh,
And
100%. She is.
Margaret is like panicking, and that happens multiple times throughout the novel, where there is like a high stakes event, and Margaret's like, I can't handle this, and Eliza does, and I love that. I love that.
It like really shows that despite everybody else putting her down and everybody else tries to make her small, but she was raised and groomed to be the head of a house.
Yeah.
She was raised and groomed to take care of everything. And it's like even when she was with her husband, like yeah, he took care of the finances and stuff, but she ran the house. She
Yeah.
hosted the parties. She's like and she's good in a crisis. So, and
So um
like when Margaret didn't come home and Mrs. Hurley, she was like freaking out because she didn't know what to do and stuff. Eliza was on it.
I do think it's funny. This is the second A Lady's Guide where at one point the female lead is barging into houses. Uh, I'm okay with that.
Barge into more houses.
Yeah. Kick down more doors. I think so being introduced to her and then her immediately having this like witty protests in her head, but then outwardly her being very like demure. That as soon as we introduced that, I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Because I was like, immediately it sets up her arc of her finding her voice, or not even finding her voice, but being able to release her voice.
Yes, I love the way you phrase that.
She didn't have thoughts and opinions about things. It's just she's been trained that she's not allowed to say them, but she's always had them, and I really enjoyed that. I was like looking up a copy of it and trying to like see like how much I could buy it for, and there was people like reacting to it and being like, oh, I hate female leads like this. I'm 42 pages in, blah blah blah, and I'm like, you're clearly not reading.
Right? Like the reading comprehension is not there. Well, okay, so to be slightly fair,
No.
there are a lot of readers that get pulled into a biased narrative and they just kind of like they only believe what the narrator is telling them. They don't read. I don't want to trying not to sound like an ass.
They don't realize they're unreliable narrators.
Yes, that's the thing. I don't want to say they don't read deeper. They don't understand the layer. No, it's just that they trust the narrator. That's what it boils down to. They trust the narrator. They trust what they're being told, and so that's how they form their opinions.
It's fine.
I trust no one, as we have seen in previous things, and I'm like, I knew that fucking narrator was lying to me from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it is possibly because unreliable narrators are some of my favorites. So I'm primed for them.
I wouldn't even call her a super unreliable narrator, comparatively to others.
Well, she's unreliable.
Happening, but
I would say that she's unreliable in just. Well, you're right. By the technical term, she wouldn't be, but it's because she's saying. I know what I mean, you know what I mean, but I do agree with you that if we go by technical terms, she would not be classified under one. And we embrace pedanticness on this channel. So
I deeply disliked whatever the fuck his name is, because I literally Oliver.
Oliver. We hear his name once, maybe twice in the entire book.
And I remember
to the point where she breathily said his name, and I was like, who the fuck is that?
I like the name Oliver, and so it was like Oliver, and I'm like, no, not him. So having his, I deeply disliked him, and I was so glad that his arc wasn't, or like that he didn't have an arc of like realizing that she's a grown woman. I'm like, no, there's just misogyny baked into him. And
he had the opposite arc.
And him seeing like him having like him being in love with 17-year-old her still, or like his image of her, and then so I thought it was gonna be like, oh, him growing to love this version, the adult version of her, but I'm like, I don't want that. I don't like that narrative most of the time, and it's like, you can't see for who I am now.
Miss Irwin would never do that to us. I trust
and
her.
I'm like,
I've
okay.
only read 2 novels and I trust her.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to read the arc of someone falling in love with who you are now. I mean, I don't think I like second chance romances, is what I think I'm hearing in my own
Well,
words.
let me tell you, in order for me to like a second chance romance, the reason they broke up has to be one that I personally think is A, forgivable, B,
Yeah.
makes sense. And then they're reuniting. Yeah, you gotta make me believe they fell in love with the person they've become, not just
We
who they
read
used to
2
be.
of them before. I think we've read the Last Christmas, I Gave You My Heart, or whatever that horribly titled one was. The one with the baker lesbian, and then I don't remember what.
Oh yeah.
So boring. And then also one of the
That
sisters.
one that one was a second chance because of bad timing and miscommunication.
Yeah, and the this one of the
That's
super witches was also a second chance. So I'm
yeah,
like,
and that one
I don't think I would.
I will say the holiday one,
Yeah.
the poor timing and miscommunication is one of the reasons that I'm like, okay, that makes the most sense for a second chance romance for me because sometimes you're just not in the right place to pursue someone romantically and then later on in life you are and you still love what made you fall in love with them in the first place and then like I said as long as I believe that you love who they became it works but that other one oh my god the
My
second chance I
father
was like
made a
no
magical vow we couldn't hang out, and yeah, I don't want to get into that. We have to wrap up very soon.
yeah because you gotta get going
Yeah.
but
Overall, like,
so we're
really,
not
I
gonna get
have
into it.
little to no issues with this novel. Like,
if
I know
so
I'm
if
usually an
Sophie
asshole.
Irwin if so excuse me, if Miss Sophie Irwin wrote a second chance romance, I promise we
I
would
would,
enjoy it.
I would give it a chance. I
I
think
know,
she's one of the best authors we've read. Um,
definitely.
Between her and then the Raven Cycle. And even I had more issues with the Raven Cycle than
How dare
these
you?
books. I mean, I love them, but I was like,
I
I
know.
do have things I could be like, oh, I didn't love that. But this stuff, I'm like, no, fuck it. I don't really have any issues with this book.
That's okay. We both know I don't care if you have issues with the Raven cycle as long as you don't have issues with Will Patton.
No, I think
I'm in
Raven
love with
Cycle
that narrator.
is a phenomenal
But
series.
yes, I know.
But I'm just
No
like,
series is perfect, but
yeah, but this one, I'm like, I had anything that I didn't like is not memorable enough.
I was gonna say the only issue that I would have had with this novel was because her ex marries a 17-year-old, and I'm like, we could have done without that until you said he was marrying a younger version of her, and then I was like,
Oh yeah,
oh, that's so thematically good. I can't be
yeah.
mad at it
That's what I
anymore.
was saying. Like that, she even like makes a couple allusions to being like. She reminds me like she set it up. Where like that's the narrative of the ex is like he's marrying another her in
Yeah,
the
and like I said earlier, but I like how it feels like that's gonna go differently, not just because the ex is less of a piece of shit than his uncle, but also because little Winnie, that's what we're calling her,
yeah.
Winnie already has 2 strong older
And
women
she's
that will support
also
her.
she's also yes, Eliza sees herself a lot in Winnie,
But
but
she's
they're not the
already,
same person.
yeah,
And
and they
that's
aren't the
one
same
issue
person.
with like her standing up to her husband and being like, no, give her the inheritance. Like
Hmm.
that is not something that Eliza would have been able to do.
Nope.
Um, and I because of a million
She's
factors.
already showing that she's gonna be
Yeah.
able to manipulate circles around that man. I'm like, he don't know what's coming.
So,
I really
yeah,
wish he.
he still sucks,
Oh,
but
he
it's
still
not
sucks,
like,
but we
oh,
love
and
her.
we're just breezing back past this child bride victim, where it's like, no,
Also,
yes, there's issues there, but it's
him
like, narratively, this is not a real thing or like in real life, that's not a real.
and him being like, you were the one who introduced
Yeah,
us. She's like,
Not
Sir,
like that.
as a playmate for our niece,
Yeah.
not as
So,
a
like,
wife for you.
the setup of it is, for what it represents, I think is very
Yes,
important.
thematically, I can't be mad at it. Especially since the narrative acknowledges
Yeah.
that it's creepy no matter what.
Mhm.
Like, at no point does the narrative try to defend this man
Yeah.
doing this.
Or even, and her even being like to Winnie, Eliza being like, "You good?"
Yeah,
And her
oh
being
yeah.
like, "I'm good. I can do this." In
I
a
had
very,
worse
very
options.
different way.
One was
than-
70 years old.
Yeah, where it's like, no, she can handle this idiot, misogynist 27-year-old or 29-year-old or yeah, 28. I think he's 28 because he's like, when she was 17, he was 18. So it's like, no, she gets that go ahead. Where it's like, no, she shouldn't have given the go ahead. It's a child, blah blah blah. In real life, but narratively, it's like, okay, That's why I'm like, hey, I do want more with her story.
Yeah. I would like to see her story with her Aunt Margaret and Aunt Eliza supporting her through her life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yay, book.
And our next book, which will be in 2 weeks, right?
The 29th, yeah.
Yeah, is Heaven Official's Blessing, Volume 1.
Which is not Heaven's official blessing.
No, in all these years, I've been saying Heaven's Official, and I only realized... No, I realized that now when I was typing it out, because I was reading the cover, and I was like, oh, it's Heaven Official's Blessing. As in, it's the officials of heaven whom are blessing, not heaven officially blessing us. Motherfucking synonyms!
Yeah. So I literally say it wrong every time. This is my pick. It's one of an 8-part series. MXTX is back. We're not going to do all 8 of them in a row. We'll probably do one of these each quarter for the next 2 years.
I have to find long, flowy red things to wear, it would seem.
That's just for book one. I mean, long, flowy red things would still work, but this is each cover, which I have on my wall, courtesy of your mother, is a different scene in the books, in that book. But yeah, and there's an anime based on this, so it even potentially be fun if we watch the corresponding season.
Do one of those bonus book talk things that we talk about doing every now and then.
The censored, and then they also released the uncensored versions.
Oh, we're watching the uncensored.
Which, like, uncensored, like, they did a couple shorts that were scenes that wouldn't pass censorship. Not in, like, as in they're too gay, not as in they're materials. I'm just making that clear. It's that's too intimate, so we had to change it. Yeah, so, but it's a fantastic show, even, they took out the gay, and you're like, okay. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I've attempted to read this multiple times, not the first book, I've read the first book a couple times, but I think I messed up at one point, and I missed a book. And then I just started reading the next one. It was kind of one of, there's so much going on and there's so much story, where it's like, okay,
I'm gonna have to rewatch.
So
since we're not doing them in a row with, like, say we're on book 5, I'm like, I'm gonna have to go rewatch 1 through 4.
Yeah, our book talks. Yeah.
I gotta see what I felt was important to remember.
Yeah, I'm just gonna write down, like, page-long summaries of each book.
Just notes.
I'm sure people have done it online. It's
probably, but
probably popular book.
We're not using those people's work. We're doing our own.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye. I have to run off.
We gotta go. All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.